We have a big weekend of undisputed boxing, and we're here to break it down. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Waiting YouTube channel. I'm joined by my man Ray. How you doing?
So man, going through the working week, but just battling through. How about yourself?
And did you know what? You hit the nail on the head. Going through the exact same, just going through the motions, getting ready for the
Indeed.
weekend. And like I said, just at the top of the show, it is a big weekend of undisputed boxing. We are going to touch on Cage Taylor and Chantel Cameron soon, but start off with we have to get into the big fight that's happening early Sunday morning. That's Devin Haney versus Lomachenko at lightweight. And the first question I want to ask yourselves is in this fight, is Lomachenko going into it undervalued, you could say?
Yes and no. Yes, in terms of people are going to undervalue him because in boxing, it's what have you done for me lately? And Loma's not looked the greatest. However, the extenuating circumstances is kind of big. Obviously Ukraine and Russia have been at it, so it's good reason that he's been uneasy. But at the same time, I also think it's a case of people are seeing how good Haney is with fundamentals. It may not be the flashiest, but he's very good
Yeah.
fundamentally, and the size difference as well. Because I think what people don't also take into consideration, you could argue that Loma shouldn't be fighting at 135. He is quite a small 135, and 130 is really his division, but it's not really a sexy division, is it? And then Devin Haney, on the other hand, is a big 135-pounder who many people believe after this is going to go up to 140.
With Devin Haney, for example, you talk about the fundamentals and stuff and how he's basically ascended to the point where he's now essentially the favorite in most of his fights at 135. Is he going to feel the pressure going into this fight? And would you say this is probably his marquee fight at 135 before he moves up to 140?
I think, yeah, this is a good send off. It's like passing all the guard. You got the young guy that became undisputed, and then I think this is like putting a stamp on what he can do at 135. And for Loma, I guess it's just a case of this is last. I don't even think this is his last chance because, in all honesty, and I think I mentioned on here before, what my theory is that Devin Haney wins. He goes up to 140. He signs back with Matchroom because Matchroom seems to be building up a good stable at 140. So he goes to Matchroom, and then the belts get dispersed like the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Z. And then Loma can grab a belt. Shakur Stevenson can grab a belt. Maybe Tank might grab a belt. Frank Martin might grab a belt. There's talent there, and obviously Keyshawn Davis as well. And then from there, all the remaining lightweights can have their big fights. But I think with Devin Haney, with how big he is and the way he fights, I don't think many people really want that fight, apart from him and Shakur. But in all honesty, I don't think there's enough money for them to be making that fight right now. There is not going to be a big fight at the
I
moment
was
if they
going to
do that
say,
fight.
we'll talk about the money side of it going forward and what this could mean for Haney, but just breaking down the fight itself for both guys then, what do they kind of have to do? I know we've always alluded on Haney and his fundamentals, but what do both guys have to do to come out victorious in this particular fight?
I think Haney is just doing what he normally does, stick to his jab, uses like body, uses strength. But it's like the way he does it, he's not just a brute with it. He's like very high IQ. He stays there, he knows when to like use his body, and then he'll pop off a jab, pop off straight punches, keep people at distance because he's a big boy, so there's no point in letting people on the inside. Whereas Loma, you know what he is, man. He's the Matrix. The guy's gonna go in there and the movement. He's gonna try to be on the inside and try, hit him with 2, 3 punch combos and then come out. But against Haney, that's gonna be a big task. And like I said, he's probably gonna use his size, put his weight on him, try to come front foot forward. He might be putting the pressure on Loma just to stop him from all the type of movement that he normally does, just to stifle him. So will be a chess match. May not be the most exciting, but if it goes the way I think it is, it's just going to be a jab fest from Haney. Loma might have his moments, but for me, solid Haney, UD.
So this was going to say, and this is me playing devil's advocate to a point, but also looking at Lomachenko and the stature of him and what he's accomplished and his name. could we see a potential freeze up moment from Devin Haney, knowing that the guy he's facing across the ring is Lomachenko, or is this just out of the picture type of thing?
This boy has been wanting this fight for a long time. Remember when people kept on calling Devin Haney email champ?
So this is
This
what I was
guy
gonna
has
say,
been
because he's
wanting
wanted
him.
that fight for so
Yeah.
long. When it comes around, do you have that little sit back moment like, I'm fighting Lomachenko? Because you could, I'm not saying Loma is Floyd, but I'm saying the same way people would fight Floyd and realize,
I
wait
get
a
you.
minute,
I think
this
the
isn't
difference
what we
is,
expected.
I say
But
go
yeah,
on.
no, that's what I was going to say. So because
Yeah.
once you eventually get the fact that you wanted, but then you realize, wait a minute, the magnitude gets to me a little bit more. I'm not saying Lomachenko on that star level,
Yeah.
but once it hits you that you're getting that fight that you wanted, can you kind of like freeze up to a certain point in the moment?
Before I'd say potentially, even though I don't think so, but now I'm just like, this is a guy that went to Australia twice and fought for an Undisputed. Yes, George Kambosos may not be Loma, but the fact that you rose to the occasion and you done what you done, I think that guy he's cut from that cloth of championship material. So I think he'll be just as game, and he's got a chip on his shoulder to like let people know that I'm the guy. Because in all honesty, I do think Haney feels a way of the way people speak on Tank, the way people speak on Shakur. He's probably thinking, but I'm
I'm
the
the champ.
undisputed.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna go in there and remind people, one, I'm the undisputed, and two, I think is gonna be just a statement to make of like, don't play with my name type of thing. Like put respect on it or trio.
I was going to say you bring it on the notoriety, the numbers, money, etc. And I would say the same thing at 135. If because I've seen something about you had Tank, Shakur, and um, Devin Haney, and it's like, where would you rank them? And I put Haney number one because he had the belts, Tank for the money, and then Shakur just below because he's got an element of both. He's got the skill set and he can bring in the money, but it's not to that particular level yet. When you look at Haney right now, with this particular fight being Lomachenko, is this the money maker that is going to potentially excel him to the next point? What does he have to do then to be able to put himself in a financial stardom position?
I think two things. One, this is a fight where, and I honestly think ESPN done this on purpose. This shouldn't be on pay-per-view. This should not be a pay-per-view fight. This is the fight. This is the showcase fight where you're meant to put with your normal subscription so that everyone can tune in to see who this guy is. Because for me, pay-per-view is when you've proven to get numbers on normal subscription and then you put them behind a paywall. Because it reminds me of like when Anthony Yard first bet Beef.
Yeah.
It's like you need that on your normal subscription because you want, if Anthony Yard wins that year, people are going to be like, oh my lord, do you see how exciting that fight is? I will pay to see that. I'll pay extra to see that guy more. Whereas Devin Haney, he hasn't had a fight yet, not in America anyway. Yeah, in Australia it was big, but that was more because it was George Kambosos. Whereas in America, he hasn't had that fight where people are going to clamoring to be like, yo, I want to see that Devin Haney fight. Not in the masses anyway. Obviously,
Yeah.
boxing purists, yes, but on a massive scale, no. And I feel like this does more damage to Haney than it helps him. And secondly, wait, did I say my first and second? What was the question again?
About the money. So what can he do to put himself in that financial bracket of
I think
stardom?
that's what I mean. So that's the second part is he needs to put on a show. It can't just be a boxing masterclass because unfortunately boxing masterclass don't always get the viewers. They want to see either brutality or skill at the highest level. And I think that's why with Shakur, they like it because he puts a little jazz on it. There's pep in his step.
I was going to say, when you watch
in that
Shakur and it seems to be like a systematic beatdown to the point where you are physically tiring out the opponent. Where it comes to Haney, as much as the fundamentals are there, it's like, okay, I can box you for 2.5 minutes of a round and I can just take that 30 seconds where we can just enjoy it a little bit. Whereas with Shakur, it's like, oh, this guy's going to break me down. It's 6 rounds and it's like, okay, he can only last 2 more. Whereas with Haney, even if it's a 6 rounds of some form of beatdown, I know this guy could potentially go 12 with him, but I know the outcome already. if that makes sense.
No, definitely. I think that's what it is, though. Whereas I still said this for a long time. Top Rank have arguably the best roster in boxing. They have not made a star in a long time. And I hope they do not fumble with Shakur, because I feel like they could do big things with Shakur, especially in America where he's on ESPN. That's arguably the biggest sporting network. Like, why is he not bigger? Why is his name not bigger? Like, Tank shouldn't be the only person that people recognize. And I feel like Top Rank, this is the point where they need to make a star. Because listen, man, say what you want about Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn has shown how to make stars, or to give people star treatment anyway. Like, make things special. Like we were talking about in the Canelo episode. Like, make a grand entrance for your star guys, because that's what you need to do to differentiate them. And I feel like Top Rank, throughout the years, they've got top fighters, but they never know how to, push them just
It's
beyond.
that production value, that production little bit more that's needed.
Top Rank production just looks all right. It looks
good. Like, it does the job.
So but I don't want just does the job. Like, I want to look at it and be like, wow. Like, do you know how many like boxing friends that I have that I've taken them to UFC shows in the past, or like we'll watch UFC fights, and then one of the first things they'll say is like, yo, the production is crazy. And I feel like that's why I give credit to Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn even went to a UFC show, and I think he said the same thing. He goes, he took hints of UFC, because he realized, you have to make it a big production, like make it exciting to be in there, make it exciting to watch on TV. And I feel like with Top Rank, it's like you ain't upped your production since the mid 2000s. It feels like Shakur could fight, and the next fight is going to be Miguel Cotto. Like, I
know what you mean. Do you know what I'm going to say? This is going to sound really weird, right?
Yeah.
There's something also about the ring announcer for me that adds a bit of value. So don't get me wrong. When I see Jimmy Lennon Jr., I'm like, yo, Showtime, we got production. Exactly. When I see what happens on the Zone, for example, we know we got production. When it comes to Top Rank, it's like, ding, ding, right? Give me the lights. It's not it doesn't hit as much, if that makes sense.
The best way to describe it is like Showtime, especially the all access production as well. Showtime and Matrix can give you matches in 4K and it'll look brilliant.
Yeah.
Top Rank looks like it goes to maximum 720.
The Netflix subscription where you can't pay that.
It looks like the pixels is max 720, and you're just there like, brother, is this it? Like, I need 4K production. I need to know that if I put this on the big boy TV, I'm gonna get the works. Like you said, Showtime, you get that. Matching, you get that. Top Rank, it feels like 720. That's your max. You don't even get 180.
Yeah, no, I hear it completely.
It just looks like I said. Sometimes you can be watching that. Like, you can be watching Top Rank production, and I can feel like, right, any moment Miguel Cotto is going to come out. A young Miguel Cotto is going to come out. I feel like I'm still watching
Timothy Bradley might just be like, you know what? Let me just do my thing.
Like,
I get it.
It just feels, I don't know what they need to do, but they need to up their production, because it just doesn't. It doesn't look good.
So just quickly wrapping on this before we go to the women's fight as well. Are we going to get a 4K display then from Devin Haney this weekend?
I don't know if we're going to get it, because I never know, but we need to see it. For his sake, because I feel like depending on how this fight ends is going to be big on what he does next. Because if he does like a decent performance, but it's not stellar, then what he wants basically is people to be clamoring for him to fight at 135. And then I think he would stay just for the big money fights. But if you have this fight and there's an all right performance and people are just there like, oh, that was nice, then you might as well just go to 140. Because it's like we were saying in the previous pod with Aljamain, you either get people to love you, get people to hate you. But the worst thing you don't want is people to not care. And I feel like Haney needs to put on a performance that makes people care. Because being in that not caring situation can be harsh. But at the same time, I'll be honest with you, I want to see Haney at 140. I don't like. I feel like let's make that the division sexy again. And if he can go there and get a few belts, then that'll be good. If like obviously you got Josh Taylor first, Teofimo Lopez as well. So and then like I said, match with this Prograis, Rougarou, and then they've got other top 140 guys there. So listen, man, I think the options are there for him. He just needs to execute well. So whichever he does, I'm rooting for him. But I would like to see him at 140.